My name is Sheila O'Sullivan and I'm from Newmarket in County Cork.
Newmarket is...
in Duhallow, the Barney Duhallow.
Barney Duhallow.
Indeed, a very historic area bordering on Sliabh from a musical point of view. It's the 100th anniversary actually of Sean Keating painting two iconic paintings. They're known as an IRA column 1921 and Men of the South is his second version.
What's your connection to this exhibition? Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing this? I have a love of Irish history, particularly the War of Independence era. And I think my mother influenced me when I was a child, stories about Sean Moylan. So I always grew up with an interest in Sean Moylan and his activities. And the more I read about him and his men, the more I admired them. And over the years then, I got to know about the painting, and I got to know the one in the Crawford Gallery here in Cork, but I had never seen the first version of it, which was in Áras an Uachtaráin. So I decided I would go there to see that, and I was told you could go on a Saturday on a tour. Then I met some of the families of the Men of the South, like the Cashmans, and they hadn't seen it, and so I decided, they said they'd come with me, and then I met the Reardons, and next thing I had 60 people, so I said, gosh, we can't all line up on a Saturday. So I rang the Áras to know they accommodate us to meet us midweek and we could all be together, and they said of course. And so we went in 2019 to the Áras, 60 of us, and we were greeted by President Higgins, which was fantastic. And it was actually the first time that the families of the Men of the South had actually met as a group. Some had never met because their lives had carried them in different paths. And they were all thrilled to meet one another, as they were thrilled to meet President Higgins because his father served in the same battalion as them. And I think they found common cause, if you like, in that they were all discussing their fathers and their lives after the War of Independence and the Civil War, and they all found that their parents never spoke about the War of Independence or Civil War, and that they all suffered from post-traumatic stress afterwards. But in a way, it gave them comfort that their parent wasn't the only one. Everyone was, feeling that way. But they're a sort of a family in their own right now.
So the Men of the South painting, there's a few different versions. Can you remember the first time you would have seen the painting yourself, Sheila?
Yes. It's many years ago. I've been coming here to the Crawford to see it because they're people from our own area. Dan Brown is in it, and he's from Ballinatona, just a mile outside the town in Newmarket. There's two Sean Moylan, of course, is a Newmarket man, and but he's not in that painting, but he was in the first one. But everyone assumes he's in the painting,
yes,
because without him he wouldn't have been there. Then there's two from Kiskeam, but Jim Cashman's son lives in Newmarket, so you feel that you're meeting the people all the time.
So when the rest of us see the painting, we're seeing a sort of an everyman who fought for Irish freedom, but you know them as neighbouring families.
The families, and we know where they're buried. Johnny Jones, for instance, is buried in a graveyard just a couple of 100 yards from my door.
Right.
And I'd pass his grave on a very regular basis.
Right.
And sure, I can't but think of the painting here in Cork. And any time I'm in Cork and it's next door to the car park, you just run in and kind of say hello. Now, it has gone on tour a few times. It went up to Dublin Castle. And that caused a great hilarity, I think, with the families of the Men of the South, because the painting was hanging in the King's bedroom in Dublin Castle. And I know one of the families, a son of one of the men there, said, gosh, they were a long time trying to hang him in Dublin Castle, and they finally achieved it.
In the Civil War, then when that started, he got shot above in Tower, wounded.
All right.
And I was surprised, I think, by the Free State Army, surrounded and something, and he got wounded anyway.
Okay, right.
But they were all high-powered rifles, 3 or 3 rifles, both.
Right. So he got shot in the shoulder, was it?
He got shot in the shoulder there.
And did he get hospitalised, or?
Well, he was taken from there down to Kanturk Hospital, but apparently, by what I was told by a man recently, that his mother was there the day he was taken to Kanturk, and apparently they pushed him out of the truck and tied him to the back of the truck and pulled him up to the hospital,
right,
up Percival Street in Kanturk, I suppose with the intention of killing him, but he survived anyway.
Right.
And after getting better, he was taken to Limerick jail, where he escaped out of there. They dug a tunnel under the wall and got away.
Right.
But a short time after that again, he was captured again over at home.
Right.
And there was a ditch going along there, and there was a gate going down there.
Yeah.
And they were here behind the ditch. And they were shooting over.
Who was here behind?
Jimmy Cashman company.
They were here behind.
Yeah, all them. And they were shooting over there to see over in the valley, over to Connie Max, you know, where come up from Kelly in shop.
Right.
They were fiery, and I don't know how near it to us or how far were they from one another. But they came down behind them. Yes, and they came down behind them and they shot one man. You see, they never watched it. They were
back.
there was no one behind them.
There was no sense.
My grandfather was inside there. We left old shit standing. There wasn't that old bit of a shed and all that.
Yeah.
That's there since
Yeah, they were inside there.
150 years. He was inside there holding a horse.
Right.
Old
When
horse,
all the shooting was
old horse was going
mad.
mad.
Was, of
Yeah.
course.
And Jesus said that he'd be killed.
Oh,
He'd had
Christ, and
to,
bullets
there was
ricocheting
bullets. Yeah, there wasn't a hole at them, but there were. But that's just right there somewhere between here and just there he was shot.
Right,
And is there any mark on the walls now for the gunshots?
Oh
in the
no,
house?
yeah,
There was
no,
no the ditch there that time.
It was all in old ditch. You know.
Well,
So over along there they were lined up to that.
Humphrey Shane told me that he was in school, that they above in tower, and they all had to lie down on the floor because there was bullets flying everywhere. So
Oh,
the
there was,
tower
yeah.
school would be.
Oh, it was, yeah, but just see, I suppose they moved out from one another then. We feel the moment the very top I can carry up to the risky fields is the worst field we have.
Yeah.
And that's called the dugout. We could ring
there-
our
there
lads,
dugout there
the
too.
dugout is there.
God,
So, and we're still the dugout field.
That's what they
Isn't
still
that
call it.
The
fascinating?
dugout, we still call it the dugout. Most of the lads wouldn't know what dugout, but they go up to
No.
dugout for the cows.
That is
You know,
fantastic,
and then on just
And inside the middle, and it was inside just in the middle of the field of the whole.
yeah, in the lower side of the field, which is very high up.
And had they what like call it? Do you know what part of the field that the
I
dugout-
know what it is, but it's all filled in.
All right.
There's no,
Yes,
nothing
yeah.
that. Which there was.
Because I knew they had a training camp here.
They had no
and-
walls or nothing that
No.
time,
Yeah,
you know.
and
so
Cumann
it's
and
not
Man
just-
used to train up
It's
here.
easy.
The problem was just to keep it drained, to keep the water out of it, to
Yes,
keep it empty.
Yeah.
To see
Yeah.
they had to have it high up and
They
Yeah.
were.
they were ready to go at all. They could scatter anywhere.
Any
They.
They
direction.
Yeah.
could.
Right.
Yes, yeah, and the RIC barracks was burnt below, so
Yeah.
they weren't there. Newmarket was the nearest, we'll say, that barracks there was to them at the time.
It was right across there now. There was a ditch, you see that ditch?
Yeah.
We fought that gap.
Yeah.
There was
Oh,
a
yeah.
ditch along all the way up there and over. And you see there were this side of the ditch.
Okay.
And they were fiery over there.
Yeah.
And had they slept here the night before?
Oh, I couldn't say that.
You don't
no,
know
I
whether
don't
they were
know.
here or not.
But she was a safe house here, all right. But like,
Yeah,
they
well,
wouldn't sleep in the. To be very hard to sleep in certain houses that time because
Yes.
they'd
Yeah.
be outside in the morning. Like.
Right.
They could be have to sleep in the barn or something.
Well, yes, yeah.
That whole
yeah.
barn was there that time. That's still there. You know? That's the old barn.
But they dug up.
There must be surely holes in
That
that.
could be you dead right.
Yeah. Mossie, what do you think now? Our father, you're standing here now where he was. Isn't it extraordinary? Jesus,
Yeah,
lads.
right. But yeah, I had the idea that it was your petty tales. Yeah, I know who told me that.
No, I know.
But I, that Humphrey Shane was telling me that he was in school that day, and they all had to lie down in the school, that there was bullets flying everywhere. They must have been going on for a bit, so was it, Terry? I don't know.
Sure, I don't know. My
Yeah.
father wasn't that much interested in it at all. As such, you know.
But he was a boy, though. Your
Oh, he
father.
was only a boy, yeah.
What was his
Yeah.
name?
Humphrey,
Humphrey.
same.
Yeah, my own father, yeah.
Yeah. You see, that is a Sullivan woman marrying here,
Okay.
and they were all. My father was called after the Sullivans.
Yes, and so was my father. Yeah.
And did who be related, so?
We are,
second
yeah, our
cousins.
fathers were first
Right.
cousins, yeah. I knew where I was coming. There was a
Oh,
good
no,
welcome. And the tea and all was ready, only we had
She's
it.
inside ready, so there's another fella above.
No, so that's very interesting. And the dugout field, isn't that
Right.
extraordinary? And I know that it was up here, Jim Reardon and Moylan particularly met your father's first cousin, and he walked her home that night. The two men met their two wives
Who was
here.
my
And
first one? Oh,
the Murphys, the Shamrock Murphy
John
women.
the Shamrock's sister.
Yeah, and they walked the two women home here from the camp one night. And that's
Right.
how they ended up marrying them.
Oh, they can't tell her.
What?
They did, because Cumann and Man were up here as well.
Okay.
Whether they were in support to the camp, maybe, I don't know what they were doing here. And they all walked home together to Kiskeam.
Yeah.
And it was during the walk home that Moylan and Jim Reardon
Sit
started
there.
going out with their father's first cousin.